In this tutorial, which is probably going to be the most controversial of the whole of the Agile PM plugin series, we're going to explore what I believe is the most misunderstood, riddled with myth and misinformation process of project management, which is estimation. Let's get started by me giving you a question. This is a packet of chewing gum. How many packets of chewing gum are in the world right now? I'm saying it's 15 billion, and you might have you hopefully can have a number in your head. And that is a guess. Let's get the language right. That's a guess. I have no idea, but I'm guessing, right, that there's that many packets in the world. That is completely different to estimating. Estimating is a professional activity done by certain people, quantity surveyors, for example, in construction, architects. And these are figures based on many substantial data points, histories of projects that are similar over many years. So an average quantity surveyor can be pretty good at saying how long it's going to take a certain amount of concrete to dry, or how long it's going to take to erect, for example, certain walls made out of steel versus wood, those sort of things, because they have the data to back them up and the experience. That's estimating. When most business and IT people in the project world use the word estimating, they're in fact using a third term, which is actually guesstimating. For example, if I worked in the factory that made this chewing gum, I could probably guesstimate how many more of these are in the world, a lot more accurately than my guess, because I'd have some idea of our production rate, a rough idea of how many other factories make it. If I was in the World Global Consortium of Chewing Gum Manufacturers, fictitious, we would track all the output from all the factories that make chewing gum, and we could come up with an estimate. That's the thing. I know that's pedantic, but it's important for sponsors and you to understand this. If a sponsor asks you how long something's going to take and you haven't got a clue, then you should use the word guess. I am guessing this, and hopefully they'll understand the accuracy. But from now on throughout this tutorial, when I use the word estimate, substitute the word guesstimate in your head, because that's fundamentally what we're doing, and we'll explore a great guesstimating technique. Let's just spend some time looking at some of the broader misconceptions and bigger issues around the estimating process. The first is this, and you'll all know this: the earlier in the project lifecycle you are asked to estimate, the more incorrect your estimate's going to be. Professor Barry Beam, in a book called Software Engineering Economics, showed for an average over 6,000 projects, the average estimating error made at the beginning was plus or minus 400%. Though I've never seen the minus, of course. And as you move into the life cycle, more analysis, more breakdown, O3 is being broken up, your degree of estimating accuracy improves, obviously. So it's like a cone that narrows. So early estimates by nature are going to be wrong. Second point, any estimate made without understanding the people who are going to do the project is seriously flawed. We'll explore this later in the tutorial, but if you don't know who are your team members and you don't know who are the stakeholders you're going to engage with, or you haven't actually engaged them properly, your estimates are going to be wrong, because people are the biggest variable, and we'll come back to that. But probably the biggest issue I've encountered, and I've written a paper about this, which interestingly was banned in one company by the CIO, could you believe it? The paper was called Estimating Games. In 1969, I was a junior programmer. I know that sounds terrible to some of you. And I was mentored by a guy called Bob Smythe, who was brilliant. And my boss asked me to estimate something, and I wrote the number down, and Bob came to me and said, "Whatever you're doing, Rob, double it. Just double the number." And I, being an innocent, sort of naive project manager, said, "No, I'm not going to do that." I submitted it to my boss, a guy called Ian, and he immediately halved it. So I already learnt in 1969, one of the great estimating games, has nothing to do with estimating, but it's a game that says, estimate, then double it, because you're likely to be cut. Great estimating game. Some of the other games, I won't go through all of them, the paper covers them all, is the guess the number I'm thinking of game. This is brilliant. The senior manager comes, ambushes you and says, "How long do you think X is going to take?" And you know immediately whatever number you say is going to be wrong, because the thing you've got to do is guess the number the boss has already got in their head. That's called guess the number I'm thinking of. great other example of this is the low bid gotcha or low bid drip feed game, practiced by many companies who are in commercial spaces. What they do is deliberately underestimate the project and say it's going to be 10 million when they know it's actually 20. But some way into it, where you've already invested 5 million into it, they come and say, look, we're not going to make the deadline, we're going to need another 5 million. And you see they've now gone from 10 to 15, but you're already 5 million into it. It's a brave company that says, look, you're talking rubbish, I'm walking away. So it's a sort of form of entrapment, classic low bid, drip feed or gotcha game. The one that I find most intriguing, because it really does show how poorly people estimate, is what I call the false science game. This is all where you call it, you say this project is going to be 1,322 person days. It's a beautiful example. I've seen so many of this. This project's $10,922,105.20. And the precision of it gives the impression you actually know what you're doing, when worst case you're guessing. So this idea of trying to get this precision simply belies the belief system that you're good at it. It impresses people because it looks like science, it looks like false accuracy, beg your pardon, it looks like accuracy, when in fact it's false. So these estimating games I taught very early in my career. Most of you have learnt them, and the bad news is most sponsors know them as well. So this sort of non-virtuous cycle continues where we keep playing games around estimating. We've got to solve that to get our estimating process right. In the rest of this tutorial, we're going to look at some really cool techniques to help you improve your estimating.